Hi, it's Heather. I am back again with another process video. Thank you for joining me. I am working on a layout for a picture of some of the items that I received for Mother's Day. Yes, last year. The photo shows a bag from Bath and Body Works. So there were some candles and a cactus, which may seem odd, but I don't have a green thumb, so my husband and daughter both know not to get me any other kind of plants. And my husband also bought me the mini mister, which was really nice, although I did have to give him a little hint, but that's okay. So the layout that I am creating is with an older collection, Dear Lizzie, the Fifth and Frolic. I am working on my stash. I had to dig a little deep for this one, but I still had so much of it left and it's still beautiful. I love it. So I picked it, one, because I was trying to use some of my older stash, but also the colors in it matched really well. And I just liked all the flowers that this collection had, just in the embellishments and the pattern papers. So I first started with one of the pattern papers and applied some white gesso, and I backed it with another piece of pattern paper just to make it a little sturdy. And I wasn't quite sure if I was going to add a lot of mixed media, but I thought I might. So, better do it now than before everything gets added to it. And my thought was to cut those flower pattern papers diagonal, which I had, and I fussy cut some of the flowers out of another pattern paper, which you can see a little bit up in the top right. I cut 2 or 3 of them out, and there was also a flower die cut already in the embellishment pack, but it seemed really busy. Just all the flowers around the photo and the flowers in the pattern paper. And so this is the next day, just because I just decided that my original plan was just going to be too much. So I took those same strips of pattern paper and cut them into banners and just decided to still layer them across my page, but not diagonal, and just overlapping a little bit, so they would still be visible once I added my photo and the embellishments, but I didn't feel like it was so busy, it took over the page. It just seems like too much to me. So I still wanted to use them, but just in smaller doses. This also allowed more room for me to add some mixed media to the striped background, and I think it turned out a lot better. I was happy with the way that it turned out. And so at this point, I'm just putting all of the embellishments and the flowers that I cut out. I thought some of them would tuck in and out of those banners. The one on the bottom right of the photo, that's actually part of the embellishment kit. So that's where I got the idea to cut out some of the other. Actually, I'm mistaken. It's the one I just had in my hand. It has the brown background to it, and it kind of stood out to me. I don't believe that I don't end up using it just because it looked odd compared to the other ones. And I also was kind of thinking maybe there was too many flowers. I mean, I love them, but it just sort of, I don't know, it just seemed like too much. I ended up tucking one of the little cards underneath of it, and I added the house on top of that flower. So you can still see some of it, but it's not overwhelming to me. And you can see that I took the one at the top left off because, again, it just seemed like the flowers were taking over the page. My title is Grateful Moments, and obviously I think it's self-explanatory, but obviously I was grateful for the gifts and the thoughtful gifts. They bought me things that they know I would enjoy. So I put those on a piece of wax paper because I wasn't quite sure at that point where I would lay them out. And I also put the details, those little puffy letter stickers. Those are from Maggie Holmes as well as The Moment. I believe that was from a sticker sheet because I wanted to use that and like over my journaling, but again, I wasn't quite sure how I was going to lay it out at this point. So when in doubt, add mixed media. So I hadn't glued any of the banners or anything down. So I took this time to add some shimmers to my background. That's a Lindy Stamp Gang. And I used yellow. That was, I think it's called Butter. It's from Heidi Swap. And I just added a little bit up to the right, the bottom left. You'll see because it will sort of peek behind the embellishments and the banners that I cut out. That pink is a shimmers. I love that pink. It's very subtle, but it has lots of glittery shimmer in it. And what I find, which I think most people find when you add mixed media, a lot of it gets covered up, but sometimes I think it's nice to just have a little bit of subtle color peeking behind. I mean, there's some layouts that I create and it's like the mixed media is the star of the show, and that's okay sometimes. I mean, I go a little bit overboard, I think, but it's just so much fun to add paint and keep playing with it. And I had to do that a little bit, dab up a little bit on this one just because I added the yellow and the pink and the green, and you know sometimes you add those together and you can get mud on your page. So I took my paintbrush and just spread it out a little bit more, and I think that at that point, or that page, that, oh my goodness, I can't speak, that spot on the page, it ends up getting covered up anyway, but again, I think I was just getting carried away with just having some fun. So I am attaching those banners with some double-sided tape, and I think at this point I've pretty much determined what the final layout was going to be. I had played around with the embellishments so much with my original plan with the diagonal stripes that I was pretty sure what I was going to end up using. I'm just using my T-ruler there to make sure it's straight. And you know, I actually purchased that from Michael's not too long ago. I have watched Missy Whitten use that on so many of her layouts, and I had been looking for one, and I found a couple at Staples, and they were like $30-$40. It was way more than what I needed. So I was happy to finally find one that was only a few dollars. You know, it's the simple things, right, that make us happy. So anyway, I am now trying to put back the flowers and the embellishments the way they were when I had laid it out previously. Do you ever find that happens, that you seem so sure about how things are going to be put together, and then when you go back after, you know, adding mixed media or whatever the case might be, that things are not quite what they used to be? I have seen some people, I guess they take photos of it, but I record with my phone, so that doesn't really help me. But I am still happy with the way that it turned out. I was pleased. So that little flower right there is another flower that I cut out of the pattern paper. And some of those puffy stickers that you see, those are from Maggie Holmes. I think I'm going to have to double check, but I'm pretty sure it was a whole sticker sheet. And it was on the same one as the detail letter stickers and the moments. And then the Grateful, those are from an old package of Heidi Swap puffy letter stickers. Say that fast. So again, I'm just trying to figure out where I'm most happy with the title. I thought about layering it over the photo and then having the Grateful above. I had so much trouble with it. I went back and forth between going up top and below, and I decided that it would best down in the bottom right-hand corner. And the details, again, part of me just really wanted to use it, and the colors, which it's hard to tell from the video, but the colors in those letter stickers matched really well. And so I was determined to make them work. And I do. You'll see here in a minute. Again, I'm using my ruler to make sure I attach the grateful stickers straight. I have a tendency not to, which is why I was so thankful to finally find one of those rulers. I just drew a light pencil line and then went back and erased it. So, and now that I'm looking at it, I don't know that it's entirely straight now, but it works for me. So with the details, those puffy stickers, I felt like wherever I placed it, it didn't look right on top of the banner or if it were layered on. So I pulled out one of those little journaling spots and it had some lines on it. It actually said something at the top of it and I cut some of it off. I think it said take note or something. I'm not even sure what it said at this point, but it was so light that it didn't make a difference once I added the letter stickers on top. So I'm adding my journaling down below that and I start to run out of room. Sometimes I start writing and then I don't really plan that ahead of time. I was more worried about the layout and the design. So you'll notice that I took that sticker, it was birds, like one on top of the other, and I took that off and I will use it on another layout and I just replaced it with a chipboard bird. So I am adding some of these wood buttons that was also part of the collection and a couple of pieces of flair. Those are from a Flair for Buttons and I am just using some of my gold thread to layer underneath of it. I kind of feel like if I put flair down without thread, it's incomplete. Kind of like some people, there's always something I think in most people's layout or their style where it goes on every single layout. And I don't think I add a flair on every single layout, but I think it's pretty close. And I just feel like the thread underneath, and I'm not even sure where I got that from. It could have been Missy. I know she does it a little bit differently and she adds a thread on, a couple or several areas of her layout. And I can go through Instagram or social media and see a layout and her style is so that's not the right word. Precise. I don't know. I've been watching her videos for so long that I feel like I can tell when it's her layout, and not at all that they're predictable because each one of them is so unique and creative, but I think that she has nailed down her style. And I don't know that I have, but sometimes I think my layouts are all over the place, that there's not really any repeated elements, which may or may not be a bad thing. But, I just go where the creativity takes me. So right now I am adding some little puffy hearts. Those are from Bella Boulevard. And I was happy to use some of those red ones. They're not a true red. They're kind of like a pinkish red. And I thought when I ordered them that I would use them often, but they really don't match a lot of things. So I was happy to use some of them on this layout. Those little white ones are actually I think they're from Bella Boulevard also. They're not shiny. They're not epoxy. They're more of a puffy type sticker. I also have several of the brads from this collection, and I really wanted to use some of them, and I think I managed to get 2 of them on the layout, which I was pleased about. I know a lot of people don't use brads anymore, or like some of the companies offer the flat back ones because it's kind of a pain. And I remembered that while putting these on this layout, is that it is kind of a pain to get them on, especially when you are doing that as one of the last few steps. But I managed to work it out. And now I am adding some sequins. They're just the yellow ones and the turquoise ones. Those are just some ones I probably picked up at a local store. The clear ones that you see on the right-hand side, those are actually from Simon Says Stamp. So there you go. That is it. I hope you enjoyed it and found some sort of inspiration in what I did. I really appreciate you stopping by again. Thanks so much. Have a great day.